Hello again. Today we're going to remove a starter motor. Now, so that you can see what I'm doing, because actually I'll be doing a lot of it from underneath. We're doing it in a deli that's missing the intercooler. Obviously the fuel pump is gone, which normally sits here, and the battery. Now the first thing you have to do is disconnect the battery, because the starter has a permanent live that's very chunky cable. Could do some damage. It certainly could damage your electrical system if you short it out, which you almost definitely will if you haven't disconnected the battery. Okay, now the first bit you need to do is disconnect two connections from the top of the starter motor, which you do from above. Now it's going to be a lot trickier for you because you have to reach down the gap here and back to undo it, and you'll get a lot of scratches, but that can't be helped. So the first thing you'll need to do, you've got this wire which activates the solenoid. That's just a pull-off connector. So you just pull that one off. Obviously you'll be using your right hand and you won't be able to see what you're doing. The second thing you do is this, it'll have this cover on it. You need to pull that off, work it back, just try and flip it around the other side so that it's out of the way. And then you'll see that this one is the one we need to undo. So you get your spanner on it. It's usually 12mm, but they've often been replaced by something else. The original is 12mm. If you've got enough space and you own one, a ratchet spanner is really great for this, because then you don't have to keep taking it off and moving it. But once it's loose, it should come off fairly easily. Some people, me included, have a second nut on here to stop the first one coming undone, because when they come undone a bit, you start losing contact, even when they're reasonably tight. I'm not quite sure why, but that's just a problem with Delicas. And you just take that terminal off. Okay, so you should be left with a disconnected starter motor. You don't have to worry about this one because it just grounds to the body on the starter motor, so you don't have to undo it. That's my first nut of the day lost, to get that back later. Right, now the next bit happens from underneath, so I'm going to climb underneath and show you what to do. You'll need ideally a 14mm socket set and probably some quite long arms to use it with. I'm going to be using probably at least this one and maybe this one too. Okay, so slide under the car from the front until you reach the front of the front prop shaft. Right, now this is the bell housing just up here. You can see the starter motor just behind this plate here. Now at the bottom and the top, so you've got where we're looking at here, you've got this elevated nut, which I hope you can see, and this one that isn't. Ignore that one. We need to undo this one, and there's a matching one just above this plate up here. Hopefully you can see it. I'll start by trying to get the socket set on it. That'll help you see it a bit better, hopefully. There we go. Right, so that bar is now attached to the nut that we want to undo, the bolt that we want to undo. I think I'm only going to need the one extension. That right. I won't lie, this is super fiddly. They're going to be very tight, probably. doubt anyone's been in there for a long time. I've lost the light. Let's get the light back. You can do a lot of this by feel, but I kind of want you guys to see what's happening. Let's come off. Let's get that back on there. Again. They are obviously very long bolts. Fortunately, they don't go too far into the starter. My arm in case it's in the way. It's pretty loose now. Move down to the lower one. Should have worn goggles. Important safety tip, wear goggles. Sort of start to see the starter motor moving a bit. Let me see if I can do this by hand now. Yeah, look, let's see. So our starter motor is loose. Hope you can see that. Now, starter motors are heavy. It will hurt if it drops on you, but I don't think that's going to be a problem because there's so much stuff in the way that your big problem is going to be manipulating it out once you've got it free. And when you're refitting, you'll probably find you put it in with cables, and because you've got aircon pipes, fuel pipes, wiring, everything looking about here, makes it quite difficult. A little bit tedious. I think we're nearly free. Might have a little way more to go on the top one now. Let's keep that, could be useful. If I put the other one back in. I made that top one too tight. When it's finally disconnected, the starter motor should just sort of drop out, although there are cogs and things in there, so maybe not. free. Okay, now the difficult bit. You have to manoeuvre the starter out, and I've got giant hands, so that's going to be very difficult. I might go back up top just to wiggle it free. This nut back on, which dropped on the floor whilst I was... Right, so you can see here you've got very little clearance between the starter motor and this bracket, which is holding the compressor, I think. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. It's up. Now, obviously with the fuel pump here, you can't lift it out the top. You will have to wiggle it out through the pipes. I'm quite lazy and the fuel pump isn't here, so I'm just going to lift it out through the top. It does fit through that gap. You do have to wiggle pipes around a lot. It'll take about half an hour probably to wiggle it free. But your starter motor is free. Yay! Thanks very much for watching. Oh, sorry. Refitting it is exactly the reverse of fitting it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and it was useful. At least you've seen where the bolts are. I'll catch you next time.